What is up, YouTube? My name is Eben, and today is Farfetch'd Friday, which means that we will be taking a card or a concept that is very far-fetched, really weird and unlikely, and we're going to try to make it work. Is it going to take you all the way to nationals? Possibly not. But is it going to be a lot of fun, and will it be very satisfying when it works? Absolutely. Today, we're going to take a look at Mandibuzz, which is the quintessential Shaymin EX Hunter. In fact, that is the entire way this deck intends to win the game, is by getting our opponent to play Shaymin EX, which most of the time they'll do for us. That's the meta. And then sniping them in one shot, bringing them back, and sniping them again. We intend to take all 6 of our prizes by killing Shaymins. I mean, yeah, we can pick off some other things while we're at it, but that's our main idea. And how we're going to do it is we're going to use Bone Drop. One of any energy is enough for us to deal 60 damage to one of our opponent's Pokemon that has an ability. Shaymin has an ability, and with the assistance of Jolteon, who we'll get to in just a second, we can make Mandibuzz an electric type, therefore dealing double damage with a wide lens, which will allow us to hit for weakness on the bench. It's a little convoluted. One might even say you get the idea. So we're running 4 Mandibuzz because that is the entire aim of the deck, is to get Mandibuzz off. So everything is about that. We're running 4 Vullaby to get it going, and there's a nice attack if you get into a tough spot. We're running 2 copies of Jolteon with its electric effect, which turns all Stage 1 Pokemon into lightning types in addition to their other types, and it's also a nice pivot because of its free retreat, so that's always nice. And we do have Flareon, because there are a few things that are fire weak that we wouldn't mind hitting for super effective damage. So we do have Flareon to kind of give Mandibuzz some options to pick on things that might be fire weak on the bench as well. And we're running 3 of the Energy Evolution Eevee, because we can easily just attach a Lightning Energy and get our Jolteon up very well. We don't have to search for the Jolteon at all. All we need is the Lightning Energy, and we can go ahead and straight up evolve just as fast as possible, meaning that with the right stuff, we might actually be able to get our Jolteons up pretty aggressively to do that damage pretty much on our first swinging turn. The only other Pokemon we have is, ironically enough, 2 Shaymin EX, because we're going to have some bench space, and if we can play out our hand, this will draw for us and help us keep consistency, yada yada. You can see why it's pretty common. We're running supporter-wise, we're running 3 copies of Sycamore, which should be enough to kind of get us where we need to go, do what we need to do. And we're running 2 Ns because we don't want to throw away too many of our higher stage evolutions under the right circumstances, so it's pretty nice. You can always opt for 1 N and 4 Sycamores. That was just how I decided to go for it. But the final decision is, of course, up to you. We've got 1 copy of Skyla, and we've got plenty of 1-ofs to Skyla for in this deck. This basically is here to kind of patch up that one card you may happen to need, because most of our items can get us an out to an energy or a Pokemon or whatever. So she's a pretty useful card in our deck. And speaking of ways to get 1-ofs, we're also running a Teammates, because obviously our Mandibuzzes aren't going to last very long with 110 HP, and they're going to get sniped a lot, but it's only 1 prize, so sacking them off isn't really a big deal, and Teammates can help us maintain that pressure and keep picking off those Shaymins. We're also running 1 copy of Lysander. We can pick out something on our opponent's bench to put up that they might not like, and we might even be able to use this to pick up a knockout if we use Mandibuzz's second attack. Now, we also run 1 copy of Zerosic, and this is pretty much exclusively to have a Versus Seeker answer for fighting Fury Belt, because otherwise that can push Shaymins out of that range where we can pick them off, because we're going to be dealing 120 damage when we factor in weakness. So we don't want them to be sitting around with 150 HP thanks to fighting Fury Belt if our opponents catch on to our plan, which, let's face it, they probably will. So this is a nice way that you can still hit them just fine. And finally, we are running 1 copy of Delinquent, because forcing our opponents into a smaller hand size can definitely put the pressure on to kind of compel them to go ahead and take the risk and play the Shaymin, which is exactly what we want, because we want our opponent to at least have played 1 Shaymin. We can get it with Target Whistle from the discard pile, but we definitely do want them to play at least 1 for us. Now, we are also running 4 Versus Seekers. That one's pretty standard, so we're not going to spend a lot of time talking about that. And we are running 4 Ultra Balls because Mandibuzz has 110 HP, so Level Ball and whatnot isn't going to cut it. So this is definitely our Pokemon searching card of choice. And like I say, our whole theory of the deck is just to get Mandibuzz to do its Shaymin killing combo, so we are running 4 copies of Wide Lens. Honestly, how many times can you say you've built a deck or played a deck that runs 4 copies of Wide Lens? That many times? Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. Me too. So 4 copies of Wide Lens because it will allow our Mandibuzz to hit on the bench, which is the idea, for weakness. and that's very important for us, as you've heard me say. We're also running 2 copies of Target Whistle, just in case we knock out a Shaymin or our opponent decides to be sneaky and Sycamore one to their bench, or rather Sycamore one away from their bench so they don't have to bench it. You can Target Whistle it back up onto their bench and snipe it with Mandibuzz anyway. So that's why we're running these. Pretty important. We've got 2 copies of Escape Rope also. This is primarily for our first turn or two in case we don't get the Volibee into the active slot. This can help us switch it around, but this can also be used to disrupt your opponent, especially since they're probably going to have something they want to attack with in their active slot. So this can basically force that out for a suboptimal attacker in some cases and still give us that nice little switch effect. Since Mandibuzz is certainly not hard to power up, I mean, it's easy for us to imagine just switching from one Mandibuzz to another. We are running 4 Trainer's Mail to just make sure we hit the right things at the right time, get those things we need, because our setup is obviously pretty crucial here, and speed is of the essence. We're running 2 Training Center because it's more or less the most logical stadium we can run. It gives a little bit more staying power to our Mandibuzz, and at the same time, it's a nice card we can feed to our Delinquent in case our opponent isn't playing a stadium for us, but we feel like it's the time. It's not super crucial, so we're only running 2, but it's a nice support card to have. Now, speaking of our one of teammates and Skyla targets, we do have 1 Professor's Letter because we only have 7 energy in the deck, and this can also help us get a very specific energy for Eevee, for example. Like we can pick up our Fire energy to go get Flareon, things like that there. It's a pretty nice one-up for us, and we have a number of ways to go get it. So that's not too bad, and we can always get it with things like Trainer's Mail if Skyla teammates fail us. We've also got Energy Switch, as after all, we're very unlikely to attack with Jolteon or Flareon, so after using energy to evolve them, we can just Energy Switch that energy onto a Volibee or a Mandibuzz, and it can use that to do its Bone Drop attack. We've also got an Evo Soda in case we don't have our Pokemon. This can be a way to search it and simultaneously just go ahead and play the evolution, because obviously that's what we're going to do. So it's a nice Skyla. It's basically it's a Skyla into a Mandibuzz, essentially, is what it is, but you don't have to discard 2 cards to an Ultra Ball if that's not what you're wanting to do. And we also have Super Rod in case too many energies or occasionally some of our Pokemon, under the right circumstances, get put into our discard pile. We can fetch them back. And finally, we are running 1 copy of Starling Megaphone. It is just one more way we can answer Fighting Fury Belt, because that is pretty much the exclusive item we want to blow up on our opponent's side. And our opponents may know about our Zerosic, but they may not expect this, and so it's a great way to Skyla and just get rid of multiple Fighting Fury Belts at once, as Zerosic can only get rid of 1. And finally, our energy count, we are running 5 Lightning Energies. Mandibuzz doesn't really care what energy type it has for its first attack, so we're running mostly Lightning so we can make sure we get those Jolteons up and active nice and early, so we can just Lightning onto the Eevee, go fetch the Jolteon. That's the point. We do have 1 Fire that we can search up to get our Flareon if we need it, and finally we do run 1 Dark Energy in case we actually need to use Mandibuzz's second attack to get off that 80 damage. It's unlikely, but it might just be important, and especially with Flareon and Jolteon support, it could be pretty crucial. That could put a tremendous amount of damage into an Yveltal EX, for example. So anyway, that is the deck. Go give it a try. It is a lot of Farfetch'd fun. And until next time, like, comment, subscribe, check me out on Twitter. The link is below as always, and I will see you next time.